having a good friend circle. You know, there's a statement in English, in America, I don't know if you have it here or not. It's good. They say, birds of a feather flock together. Right? I mean, the same kind of birds, they come together all the time, right? So if you're going to be around people who are partying and around people who are taking life as a joke and all that, then you're going to start becoming just like them. Even if you don't want to, you will start becoming like them, you'll be influenced by them. If you're around people who, they're coming to ISOC, right? And it's called, ISOC is Islamic society, right? So it's something, at least there's something Islamic about it. The concept that you're coming to Islamic, just look 50 years ago. 50 years ago, Muslims are going to a level of secularization where most of the educated people in universities, they didn't want to have anything to do with Islam. They wanted to stay away from the concept of Islam because they thought Islam was the one that held them back from the world and all of these things, which is not true. But now you find people coming to Islamic society. No, not the Pakistani society, not the Indian society, not the Arab society, not the Saudi society. You know, the Islamic society. So at least you build this relationship with people who have you're on a common platform. This is one important thing. The second is getting involved, coming to the events, because there's no ISOC if there's no people, right? You can have a beautiful charter and a beautiful name and all that, but if nobody's there, and if they're not participating, they're not active, they're not engaging, you don't have anything. So my advice is try to be active as much as possible. It doesn't mean you let your studies go, because then your parents are just waiting to yell at you and blame the ISOC, because of your ISOC activities, that your grades have dropped. No, first of all, your grades shouldn't drop, because once you get more involved in this, once you become more Islamic, quote unquote, your grades should shoot up. Because the more you learn about Islam, the more you should realize that perfection and focusing on serious things in this life is more important. The Prophet, peace be upon him, he said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ كَتَبَ الْإِحْسَانَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ. Allah has prescribed excellence, ihsan, in everything you do. You do it properly. So if you're going to study engineering, be at the top of your class. Be the best. Right? Be better than your teacher if possible. Right? Really. If you're going to study English, be the best. Why Shakespeare has to, take him out. They have a different style, don't speak like him, but have a better style. Be good at what you do. Right? Be the best at what you do. So you should actually become better if you become more Islamic. Advice to the leadership. Okay, my advice to the leadership, I'm going to scare them just a little bit. Right? And realize they've taken on an amana. An amana is a trust. Right? Are you one of the leaders, by the way?
Outgoing.
Outgoing. You're okay now. But leadership, an amana, it's a trust. Right? So you've been chosen by the people to represent the well-being and for the well-being of the rest of the people. You have a responsibility. Now, what are some of the responsibilities? Responsibility number one is you need to be sincere for yourself. You need to be sincere in what you're doing. You're not doing this for show. You're not doing this like, when you were in high school and middle school and everyone, the class presidency, is a big popularity contest. Dave becomes class president because all the people think he's cool and he doesn't know what the heck he's doing and he's a C student or whatever, bad student, right? So it's not a popularity competition. So you need to realize that now you're in a position, regardless of what you were thinking when you got in, you've been voted, you've been selected. Stay in that position, fulfill that trust and that amana, and be sincere in what you're doing. How do you fulfill that trust and that amana? You need to set certain guidelines. First, take the guidelines from the people of the past year. See what they have done. Ask them what are their pros, what are their cons, what are the challenges that they face, what are the good things that work for them, and avoid those challenges and look at the positive things and say, I need to improve on these positive things. I need to take this and I need to take it to the next level. I need to take it one step further. That's your responsibility, because Islam is actually a hadith. Islam increases, it doesn't decrease. So you have to have this increase. It needs to get better. So take it to the next level, improve these activities, improve these events, and some of the issues that I find among these Muslim societies around in the West, Canada, North America, everywhere, in the UK as well, is that you need to learn professionalism in the things that you do. You need to take it seriously, you need to organize things properly, right? You need to develop the system where it's not like a haphazard side thing just for you. You're actually dedicating some time, and if you need more help, recruit other people. Recruit them, but do things properly. Do things professionally. This is the problem sometimes with our Muslim Ummah today. It happens with young people as well. Is that we don't do things properly. We do things haphazardly. Small things. You walk in, the sign falls down. You come in. Oh, there's supposed to be chairs, and there's no chairs. Hey, where are the chairs? Oh, Muhammad was supposed to be responsible for that. Okay, fine, let's go get the chairs. Oh, the door's locked. Who's got the key? Oh, Ali's got the key. Ali was supposed to be here half an hour ago. No, Ali's on his way. He said he's on his way. This stuff happens all the time. This should not be happening. This should not be happening, right? You need to be professional. The one thing, be punctual. Be punctual and be professional. When you say 5, you're going to be there at 5. It doesn't mean like walima 5, right? Walima 5 means we're inviting the people at 5 and we're going to come ourselves at 6 and the food will be served at 9 and we expect the program to start at 11. This kind of thing, usually programmed before food. Otherwise people will leave. But this kind of Muslim standard time and all this needs to go. Have mu'min standard time, right? Believer standard time. Be punctual in everything you do. Be professional in the things that you do. Remember, this is a responsibility. So try your best, be sincere, don't overload yourself too much, but the things that you do them properly because they're going to have a better effect and emphasis on the other people, inshallah. This is general advice, inshallah.
I just want to ask how you advise and how we could advise somebody who might be going astray from Islam without offending them or making them, back to the way of their religion.
The last part?
And back to the way of their religion, like that offending them.
Yeah. Okay, so how do you try and bring someone back who's kind of drifting away from Islam and all that? The thing is, the first thing you need to realize is that when you're inviting to the way of Islam, you're calling people to Islam, you need to know the people that you're calling. So you need to look at their individual circumstances. You cannot call everyone the same way. There's a group, very famous group, I'm not going to mention their name, but one of the biggest mistakes that they make is they use the same line for everybody. Everybody, regardless of who they are, they use the same line for everybody when it comes to talking to them about Islam. This is the biggest mistake. Go look at the Quran, look at the prophets, how they did it, they didn't do it this way. So the first thing is, you need to know who you're talking to. So if it's a friend, for example, try to understand what are some of the issues that they're facing. Why is it that they're drifting away? Ask them some questions. There's never offense. Well, I'll just ask them questions. Like out of curiosity, I'm wondering, what do you think about this issue, or what are you thinking about, that one class, that teacher said something, or whatever it may be. If they're drifting away for an intellectual or philosophical reason, meaning they're disinclining towards Islam and they're inclining towards something else, research that something else a little bit, and then try and have a little discussion with them on the subject. Right? If that's not the issue and they're just drifting away because they're just playing around and stuff like that, then you try and talk to them about being a little bit more serious in life. Tell them your own personal story. So if you don't want to offend them and you're so afraid of offending them, don't be too afraid, by the way, because some people, they will be offended no matter what you do, right? And as long as you don't overstep your bounds, it's not your fault, right? So just talk to them very nicely, lovingly, and say, you know what? Tell them your own personal story. So you know what, I was like this, and I realized that we need to take life more seriously. I realized that subhanAllah, I read this in the Quran, and I saw this miracle in the verse, and I attended this lecture about the akhirah, and I realized we need to really focus more. Start talking to them and try and engage them in a conversation. I'll just give you an example of how perhaps it can be done. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam. If you read Surah Yusuf, I think it's chapter 12 in the Quran, I believe. Surah Yusuf is a very structured story in the Quran. When he was put in jail, right? He's in jail now, and he's a prophet. He's in jail. There's 2 prisoners. So these 2 prisoners, most of you probably know the story, but there's a subtle point here. The 2 prisoners come to him, and they're saying, look, we had these dreams, and we want you to interpret these dreams. Now, why did they come to Yusuf? They say, because we see that you're something special about you. There's something. You're a righteous man. Something special about you. So it's lesson number 1, right? People will come to you for advice when they see that there's something about you, meaning that you have something special quality. So if you yourself, you work on yourself very much, you become closer to Allah, you become a better Muslim, people will naturally start seeing that, and then they'll be more likely to engage you on this subject. That's number 1. Then he's told them, he answered them. He said, don't worry about your dreams. He said, I'm going to give you the interpretation of your dreams before your next meal comes to you. This was the answer. Before your next meal comes to you. And then he started explaining to them. He's saying, you guys, he's saying, do you know why that I'm able to interpret dreams? I'm able to interpret dreams because this is something that Allah has taught me. And he's saying, who is Allah? Allah is the Lord of the heavens and the universe and this and that. And you guys claim that there's a Lord of the sky, and there's a Lord of the sun, and there's a Lord of this and the Lord of that. And just look what happened. Look what Yusuf did. Number one, they came to him because he's righteous and they realized that he's righteous. Number two, they came to him with some need, secular need, had nothing to do with Islam. Nothing to do with Islam. What answer did he give? He gave the answer, he said, don't worry, I can take care of this issue for you. And it will be done so quickly, before your next meal comes, it's going to be solved. Imagine how the person feels. This person's going to help me. This is great. So the person's at ease. Psychologically now they're at ease. Oh, this person, within an hour, the problem will be solved. That's great. So now they're relaxed. Then you start talking and you say, you know what? Do you know why I can interpret dreams? Because Allah, and then it starts. You see, so you go from this topic, you go into another topic, and you start, and just see how the person feels. If they're so overly sensitive, no, don't talk about religion, and you went around this route, then you have to try another tactic. And usually people are not this sensitive. Try this. You realize you don't have to walk up to the person and say, you know what? Assalamu alaikum, brother. You know the Quran says, and then you start talking. You don't have to do it like that. Transition it from some other way. I tried this myself in university. I had the most difficult time because I was a computer science major. How in the world are you going to bring Islam into a computer science class? I was thinking, what am I going to code it in or something like that? How am I going to do it? So one day I had this Hindu tutor. He was one of my tutors, a PhD student, and he's in charge of our class. How am I going to even have a conversation with this guy? This guy is not going to do anything. So we had to write a computer program, without getting into the details. We had to write a computer program which is about inheritance. Inheritance, you take a class and you derive another thing from it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make my computer program named after all the prophets and just give a little bit of detail about this. The program functions the way it's supposed to function in the school. So the guy comes to me afterwards, he's like, the heck kind of program was that? I'm like, did you read it? He said, yeah, I read it. I'm like, didn't it work? He said, it worked. I'm like, do you know who these people are? He said, I've heard the name. I said, well, aren't you interested in knowing, who these people are and the little message that I put in there? He said, yeah, okay, maybe. So we started talking. We talked about Islam, and at least it was a way to introduce Islam. So if you have another subject, it's much easier. But you can do it anywhere. So just try and be creative. Try and talk about one subject, and then just try and transition into another subject of something to do with Islam. You don't have to be hardcore, like, knocking on the door type of dawah. Explain the message to them.